you look for the little red light.
I won't even look that way.
Okay, you just look at me.
Will do.
I'm glad you watched the other show. This is it. We're going. This part I didn't write. All the other part I wrote. I had it written. Good evening and welcome. I'm Roy Blitzer, and our show is Ask Dr. Business. The purpose of our time together is to give you information and insight that will help make your work a little more exciting. The desired outcome is you'll take the input, and your work will be more satisfying, and you'll enjoy your work environment much more than you are now. We are continuing our series on first jobs, and I'm very fortunate this evening to have a San Jose State senior, a marketing major, Bryce Bondarenko, who is going to be talking about his experience as an intern during the summer. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like you to tell our audience, if you would, a little bit about your background, where did you study, and the kinds of jobs that you had before this internship. We can call it almost your first job as a real professional.
So a little background. I was born and raised in the Bay Area, East Bay to be exact. Around 8th grade, my parents got divorced. I moved to Palo Alto, and that's where I went to high school. I didn't think college would be...
You can give your high school a plug.
High school, Gun High School.
Good
Shout
man.
out Gun High School. And after Gun High School, I was fortunate enough to earn a scholarship that would ultimately make college realistic for me. So that's where my studying started, the real way. And now I'm in my 4th year at San Jose State, management major. I'll be graduating next spring with a 3.6 GPA.
Congratulations, that's pretty good accomplishment.
Thank you. And some of the previous work I've done, so I've been working since I was 16 years old.
Wow.
My first job was at Stanford Shopping Center.
You look about 17 now, so I'm sure that
Thank you.
had a good career.
Yeah, so started at Chipotle. I ended up quitting football, and I'm not going to get into that, but I ended up deciding that I wanted to work with my time. So I got a job because one of my friends was working there. And I would work 20, 25 hours a week while going to school. I was taking the bus every day.
This was the Chipotle in Stanford?
Yeah, shopping center, right there near SoCycle. And there I kind of learned, that's where I learned my work ethic and how to, get up and go to work when you don't really
Get there on time.
Get there on time. How to, interact with your managers and people above you, learn how to take directions, and then another job after that. So moving into college, I got blessed with an internship, kind of like a part-time job with Uber, actually. They reached out to me my freshman year of college.
As a driver or as an administrator?
As a partner growth specialist. So what basically, in essence, what it was the demand for drivers and the Uber drivers in the Bay Area was much higher than the supply. So they realized that, putting online advertisements was spending millions of dollars on YouTube advertisements was not working. So they decided, you know what, we're gonna go offline. We're gonna take real people, we're gonna put them in high traffic areas, and we're gonna sell the job to them. So I pretty much sold jobs to average Joes walking around in malls.
This is while you were at San Jose State as well?
Yeah, this was my freshman year, and I was working about, again, 25 hours a week, commuting, didn't have a car, so I was taking public transportation. And that's where I learned sales, and that's where I also learned sales was not for me.
Well, let's see if we can get someone to call in to hear about this internship. The phone number here is 650-856-1491. I'm Roy Blitzer, and I'm here interviewing Bryce Bondarenko. I love your last name.
Thank you.
I want to make it sound exotic.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'm here interviewing this delightful San Jose State senior who's going to talk a little bit about his internship that he just completed during the summer, because I'm considering that your first probably almost
Career
kind of job. Now tell us about the internship. What were your responsibilities? What did you do? And what were your requirements?
So the internship was for HR. It was an HR-based internship. And I was pretty much an assistant almost to the other HR representatives that I reported to, Matt and Andrea, wonderful people. And I worked on multiple data management activities.
In the athletics department?
In the athletic department, so specifically in sports. So I worked on managing different kind of data management activities, a lot of filing, not physical with papers, but more online, a lot of typing. I did a job description project where I formalized job descriptions for people that, got the job, and they would, sign off on the responsibilities. So I would create formalized documents from the previous job description. So I went through maybe 250, 300 people, and for each one. So that one took a while. I worked on kind of like an asset protection.
So they gave you some responsible work.
They kept me busy, for sure.
Now talk a little bit about your hours. Did you have to use public transportation again?
I did. So my hours, it was a part-time job during the summer, so it kept me busy. Roughly, actually no, I take that back. It was full-time. This was a full-time position, so it kept me busy during the summer. I was working anywhere from, on the lower end, 35 to 40 hours a week. And I would take the Caltrain from San Jose, which I currently live, to Palo Alto. Every morning I would take the 804 bullet train. I'd be up by 7 every morning, take the train. Then fortunately enough, Stanford employees can benefit from the Marguerite buses. So they have these buses that come to Caltrain.
And pick you up.
And pick you up for free of charge and take you all around campus. And one of the bus stops is right near the athletic department. So all in all, the commute took about 45 minutes, which I think would actually be shorter than driving in the morning on
Probably.
280. Yeah. So commuted. It was 5 days a week.
And when did you finish the job?
It was about a two-month internship. I started early June and finished early August.
And what time did you leave at the end of the day?
Sometime anywhere from 3:30 to 4:30.
As my one daughter once said, she didn't realize that grown-ups spend so much time indoors.
Oh.
Even the athletic department, you spent a lot of time indoors. Talk a little bit about the whole concept of what you learned from the experience. What does this career-related position tell you about the real world? Not that you didn't have those experiences before.
Bottom line, this internship has reinforced my kind of vision or goal to pursue a career in athletics or professional sports. I've always been fascinated with watching sports on TV, and it was always in the game, but I always wondered what's going on behind the camera. And game day is this one day that everybody sees and doesn't think about the months in advance, maybe for one game that took. And I was always curious, like what's back there, what's going on. So I decided to go into business with intention to kind of work in sports. And after this internship, that sealed the deal for me. I realized that sports is definitely where I want to work.
Well, that's one great benefit from a good career job, is to
Right.
help focus you in the right direction. Did you find that the responsibilities were tapping your education, the courses that you've been taking? You're almost graduating. Did that help you, or were they often theoretical and not as practical as some of the things you were doing during the day?
I'm going to be quite honest.
Of course.
So
This is a Palo Alto station. We want you to be honest.
So in my opinion, a lot of the things I learned, especially like as a business student, I'm not an engineer, biology major, but a lot of the things I learned in the classroom are very conceptual and theoretical. And I don't feel like I used too much of my classroom knowledge on this internship, but rather, let me rewind a little bit. So I've been going to school for about four years now in college. I've been paying for my own tuition, along with the scholarship I earned. And I don't feel like I know 40 grand worth of textbook information, but what I've realized was that money that goes, this may be different in other places, but at San Jose State at least, you're paying for opportunities and you're paying for resources and you're paying for kind of these networks, and it's up to you whether you want to use them or not. And throughout school, it's more about using what's available to you. And when I got to the internship, it was less kind of, oh, I remember learning about this, or
Did that ever happen? That's what as one of my...
Actually, there was an Excel. Excel is probably the one thing that I
okay.
used every day that I learned.
You were probably good at it before you went to college, though, I'm sure.
Here and there, but I did take a course on it, and it really kind of, blew my mind, like what Excel can do. It's used pretty much every day in almost any business. So I used a lot of Excel. And then another thing I would probably say would be the internship. It really kind of showed me how to network and how to use those opportunities and resources that are available to you. I could have went through the whole internship and not, spoke to a single person. I could have just, stayed in my zone in the laptop, but I kind of went out of my way to talk to the people that would come in and out of the HR office, which is one of the cool things about HR, was that they're integrated with almost every department in the program. So inevitably you will see people that work in marketing or that work in operations or that work in corporate partnership, and I'll see them come through the HR office every day, and I would go out of my way to introduce myself, and just kind of small talk here and there.
Well, let's see if we can introduce one of our callers to you via the telephone to ask a question or two. The phone number here is 650-856-1491. I'm Roy Blitzer, and I'm here with a young and very clever San Jose State student talking about his internship during the summer and his learnings and from the experience and what he's taking away from a career potential position. Please call Bryce. And again, 650-856-1491. Now, let's say you meet a young fellow who wants an internship and wants his first job. What would you tell him or her? What advice would you give them?
The first one would be persistent. So if you don't get what you want, I would say keep going for it. And then if you're once presented with an opportunity, don't, I'm not saying to make mistakes, but don't be afraid to make the mistakes, because
that's how we learn.
That's how you learn. So those are probably the two.
Well, one of the things that I'm picking up sub rosa is the concept of interpersonal skills.
Okay.
You are a very outgoing, sort of charming guy. What do the introverts do? What are the people whose innate nature is not a reach out is a reach within? How do you think they would manage in some of these kind of jobs, and what would you recommend they do to get out of their comfort zone?
I think the best way to get out of your comfort zone, I was growing up, a football coach used to always tell me, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I don't know how else to say it. You just kind of have to put yourself on the spot.
Put yourself out there.
Just do it, and over time, it will get easier and easier and easier. And it sounds kind of cliche, but you just have to do it, and then it becomes so much easier than you thought it would be.
So far, we have be persistent, reach out, use the network if you can. Talk a little bit about your own personal philosophy about life and how this job helped you sort of formulate that and live it on a daily basis.
So one of the things I haven't been alive for too long, 21 years, but one of the things I think I figured out is to spend your time doing things that make time go fast, and find things, do experience as many things as you possibly can. So relating back to entertainment and sports and athletics, that's just one of the things. When I had the internship, I honestly didn't feel like I was working, because
The time went by fast.
I woke up in the morning and I wasn't like, oh, got to go to work. I was actually excited. I can't wait I was curious. I was like, what are they going to have me do today? And I was always curious to find out. So find something that makes you get up in the morning, makes you want to get up in the morning and move. And that's what sports did for me. Like, for example, I love technology, but I can't see myself in a career in technology, and in the sports I can. So.
Well, talk a little bit about the people you met and how they will impact you. You mentioned very positively about networking and using the resources that you have at your disposal. Talk about the people you met and how they may be able to enrich your continued professional life, if at all.
So one of the first people that comes to mind would be one of my POE mentors, my scholarship mentors, John. And we don't talk too often. I feel like he knows I have my head on straight, but it's usually about once a semester or so. And when I got him going into college, I'm a high school senior, just going to college. I think, I'm a big boy now. Like, I think I know what I'm doing. And then I got to college and I realized that's not the case. So when I met with him, I didn't want to make it seem like it was, I was kind of shooken up.
Like you were overwhelmed, right?
I always kind of made it seem like everything's okay. And by doing that, I think by thinking I was okay all the time, I eventually got to that level. And he kind of, I wanted to impress him almost. So, and that, I feel like eventually I kind of did that. And then another group of people that definitely play a part in where I am today would definitely be my friends, old and new.
Did you make many friends during the summer?
During the summer? I actually met the intern I worked with was actually a very cool guy.
Perfect, perfect.
He's from Los Altos, so he went to Los Altos High School.
Well, maybe he's watching now and will call in. Wouldn't that be a hoot?
Ooh, that would be a hoot. So, but yeah, family and friends, because one thing I realized was if you surround yourself with people that want better for themselves, inherently you will want better for yourself as well.
I agree.
So that's what I try to do.
Well, let me try again. I feel like the shopping network a little bit. The phone number here is 650-856-1491, and I'm here in our series of first jobs talking with Bryce Bondarenko,
Yes.
who is here telling us about his real first career position, which was an internship this summer at Stanford Athletics. Talk a little bit, if you could, about the culture that they've established at Stanford and how you might be able to take what you learned there to another job in establishing a culture that might give you the kinds of things that you want.
I like that question. So the culture was actually my favorite part about this internship. Never at one point did I feel that...
We do have a phone call that... Steve, this is Dr. Business. How can I help you?
Hello. I was really intrigued when you said that I think you learned from a lot of your mistakes. Is there any particular mistake that you think that you made that kind of benefited you professionally?
The question, in case it was the mistakes that you made that you benefited from. Thank you for asking that. I think that's a good pickup on one of those good comments.
So I wouldn't say more of a mistake, but more of something I wish I did more. So I guess it could be a mistake. I wish I spent more time doing the extracurricular social events.
Interesting.
And that can be applied to, I think, life in general. By the end of the day, while the job was fun, I was exhausted and I wanted to go home, just like anybody else would. And I would sometimes just choose not to go to, the baseball, like the little club baseball games.
But that you were included, though.
They included me, so I'll get to the that was my favorite part about the internship, how inclusive they were. But I wish I spent a little bit more time going to the socials, and because I did go to many, but there was a lot more
that you could have taken.
that I could have went to.
Stevie, I'm going to benefit from your question and ask a deeper one. Were there any parts of the job where you may have not made a mistake, but erred a little bit? And how was that handled? You didn't put the wrong thing in or something?
So my second, it was I think my third day on the job. I missed the train.
Oh no!
Right. So I missed the train.
You were late.
I was late for solid 45 minutes. So I ended up shooting my manager a text, as I should. So I sent her a text. I said, "Hey, like I missed my train. I don't know how else to say this. I missed my train. I'm going to be there as soon as I can." The text sent green. You know, it was iPhone to iPhone. I wasn't sure if she got it. So I get to the office and you know, I say hi. Everything's fine. I go sit in my office, and then my boss's assistant kind of knocks on the door. He said, "Hey, can I come talk to you for a second?"
Oh, gee.
And I'm like,
It's like going to the principal's office.
yeah. And he was like, "You know what? Just for future reference, you know, he's like, for just to be professional. He's like, you might just want to like let us know if you're gonna be late." And I was like, I did. At first, I said, "You know what? I'm sorry about that. I definitely should have called in." But I did leave Andrea, who was my supervisor. I left her a text, and he was like, "Oh, you did?" And I was like, "Yeah, here, let me show you." And I ended up showing him. It was fine. But it was kind of like in the moment. If I hadn't have sent that text, it could have sent a very bad impression, especially the first week. So
did that help answer your question satisfactorily?
Yes, perfectly. Thank you.
Well, thanks for calling, and I appreciated your input. Let's begin to build a little bit on that again. If you had to talk about some of the special things you did, you had mentioned that you did text. What other things did you do as part of the internship that you think would help people either at the beginning or the end?
I got to shadow different departments. So as I said, I was working in HR, which is not where I want to work in specifically. However,
I won't be insulted.
however, it was a fantastic learning opportunity. I think HR is actually one of the first spots anyone should start in, just because, as I was talking about before, the nature of HR, where you will inevitably connect with you will see people coming in and out. So back to your answer, or to the question. I would say shadowing other people, because while HR wasn't the thing I wanted to do, it got my foot in the door. It allowed me, my supervisor allowed me to shadow a couple different departments, and that's where I figured out which ones were the ones. So yeah.
Talk also about what you did at the end of the experience.
So I finished up the internship, and I get a call from Patricia Devaney, and she congratulated me on finishing the internship, and offered me to come, or asked me to come speak at the Rotary Club of Palo Alto about my internship experience, which is what I did about a month after I finished the internship, which was a really cool experience. I was nervous. I prepared for about a month in advance. I recited it about 500 times, but it was real cool.
Practice is important. That's what I tell my gang.
Practice is perfect. Practice makes perfect. And I gave this speech to the Rotary Club, which was a really eye-opening experience, because I got.
Did they ask any questions like the ones came up?
Yeah. So after I gave the speech, this was more of very surprising. It was kind of caught me off guard almost. Was after I gave the speech, it almost seemed as if people were lining up to come talk to me. Like
that's wonderful.
And I would talk to one person, and as soon as I'd finish, someone else would come up.
Like a Steve Kerr post-game press conference.
I've never felt that before. And these are all very established people that have a good resume, that have been in the business for a long time. And just to see that they wanted to come up to me and ask me questions or tell me that I did well, that was like it made me feel good.
Perfect. I was hoping that you'd also mention the thank you note that you wrote to the department, because I think that's a little touch that I'm
Yeah.
not sure the university or the people that do internships recommend that.
It's mandatory. I think that after an internship, which is pretty much a company or a business saying, "Hey, like, come try out for us," I think that you should anybody that interns anywhere should definitely write a letter, and that's exactly what I did when I finished up. I wrote a thank you letter to my supervisors and my hiring manager, thanking them how great the experience was
Did
and
you
what it
use
did for me.
email or direct letter?
I emailed them about less than a week. So I would say the timing needs to be right as well. And they wrote me one back. So that's definitely a must.
Well, I want you to know we have 2 or 3 minutes left, and Bryce is doing a wonderful job giving us insight to that potentially first career position. The phone number is 650-856-1491. Tell me a little bit about what you think the ideal person who is in an internship should be. What would be, if you were hiring yourself or you're hiring an intern, what would you want him or her to be?
A sponge.
Ah, good.
And that's because you need to be able to soak up information and be present. And one of the things I think I've noticed with the changing culture is that a degree literally just tells a hiring manager that you're willing and able to learn.
And you do well in school.
And you can do well in school. So if you can do well in school for 4 years, then you can handle a entry level or internship for.
There's supposedly a very high
months.
correlation between young people who do well in school and do well in ins. So you want them to do well in school. You want them to be a sponge. What else would you want if you were hiring an intern?
I would want them to be a person that asks questions.
Okay, good for you.
Because
I
that's
agree.
one thing I've always gotten advice from kind of older people I look up to, and they were all ask questions, ask questions. If you don't know something, ask questions. There's never such thing as a stupid question.
I agree. And I want you to know that we've managed to fill our time. Our time is almost up. I want to remind our viewers that we're back on in November 21. And I'd like to have you call in then. We're having a guest who is a professional service consultant who will talk about getting her first job, not only as a consultant, but her first job in the field of giving advice to other people. Before I let you go, 1 or 2 words that would describe your experience of this first career internship.
Exciting and fascinating.
Perfect. And so are you. Good luck. I want to remind everyone to call in. I want to thank my crew, and I want to wish everyone a wonderfully successful time and good luck. This is Dr. Business signing off for the evening.